All right, welcome to Beyond the Blueprint. My name is Matt Socci and I am your host today. And welcome to part 2 of this 4-part series, bringing it to the next level. Today we're going to talk about the importance of resilience. And I think that this is a really important topic that's going to bring some life to everybody, because everybody has resilience in their life, whether it's work, personal, friendships, relationships. If you missed last week's episode, we talked about adaptability. We talked about a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. And I think a lot of this will tie into today's topic, which is resilience, bouncing back stronger. So if you haven't, make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe. We are on all podcast channels and, of course, the YouTube channel where you're watching this. Again, my name is Matt Socci, and let's dive in. So when we talk about resilience, right, it's really about talking about recovering from setbacks, but growing from them. So all of us have had setbacks in our life, either in our adolescence, in our work life, in our relationship life, and obviously in our work lives. And it's really a essential counterpart to adaptability and having a growth mindset. So when you talk about resilience and why it matters, it's how we improve. If everything just kept going forward and we never had a setback, how do we know if we're doing the right things or if the things that we're doing are impacting and beneficial? So when you look at resilience is really about being pushed back. Sometimes what does it say is you got to take 1 step back to go 2 steps forward. When I look at resilience, it is a learning opportunity and a opportunity to use our growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. So for example, if you're in a situation where you're trying to start a business, or let's just say start a podcast or whatever it might be, you're going to have setbacks in that experiences that you're doing, but those setbacks are going to be reminders to you of how you could do things differently or better. And that also goes into constructive feedback or criticism, if you will. So when you look at this, I could definitely talk about some obstacles that I've ran into in my work life, and I've had it a bunch of times. And every single time that I've had some kind of pushback or a step backwards, it's always been an opportunity for a growth, moving forward outcome. And I remember when I first started the industry I work in, and I talked about this before, is I didn't know where to start, right? So I went from a blank slate. I had nothing, no idea. All I knew was I could write loans and help people get a house. But the question became, how do you do that? How do you get clients? How do you build relationships? And I'm going to talk a little bit about the word no. So a lot of you probably have been told no, or what they call overcoming objections, which is when you get a no. And I can tell you this, I got a lot of no's. I was just hitting up random people like, hey, I do mortgages. You know, we have the best customer service, the best rates, yada, yada, yada. But then when you start looking at that, so does everybody else. And I remember one time very specifically, and this is probably weeks as I got my license approved and I started working for Premier Mortgage, is I reached out to a realtor, and I believe it was through Facebook Messenger. And I gave my spiel, and basically I was told kick rocks. But then I said, all right, well, if you ever have an opportunity where maybe your person that you worked with for a bazillion years can't do it, keep me in mind. Right? Let me get that opportunity so A, you don't lose a client, and B, we could get the client into a home. And after talking through that and kept following up with, you know, different programs and different things, and just kind of stepping outside of the blueprint, if you will, you know, I built a great relationship with this individual who is now one of my really good friends, right? So I could have easily been like, okay, well, I'll just move on to the next, but I didn't give up. And if you don't give up on what you're doing, you're gonna find a way to basically win. right? So you just can't give up. And that goes for really anybody that's starting a business. It's very, very difficult. If it was easy, then nobody would work for corporate America or different jobs out there. They would just all start their own business, their own companies, etc. And I think that it's really, really important to mention that every obstacle that you have becomes an opportunity. And I still face these today. I run into obstacles all the time, and I'm like, okay, well, how can we, go around that and make it into something better? Or how can we overcome that obstacle and make it not a challenge, but a success? So I want to tell a story real quick. So as a lot of you guys probably know, Steve Jobs, basically the founder of Apple, in 1985 started up the company, and he was a co-founder with Mr. Scully. And check this out. I mean, he started it in his basement, Apple, with the old school computer, if you remember. Basically a box with a little screen on it, probably no bigger than 5 inches, and all those little games like Snake on there and whatever. But think about that, in his garage, right? He started a company. And then they kicked him out of his own company. Can you believe that? Talk about resilience there. Imagine starting up a company, which is now, I mean, obviously all of us have, iPhones, iPads, MacBooks, iWatches. I mean, it's a fantastic company, but imagine starting up a company and then being fired, right? That's crazy. But what he did was he started working with Pixar and Next Computers, and essentially Apple bought that company, and he got back into the company that he originally started. And that's where, with Steve Jobs' mind and innovation, is that he created all the Apple products, which we all use today, which is awesome. Without having that, I mean, I'm not an Android user, I'm an Apple user. I think it's just really easy to use. And I think that goes for everybody. But talk about resilience, he could have just given up and said, what the heck with it. But instead, he took all the things that he did great and then started his own, company, if you will, and then got back to the original company he started and made it even better. Rest in peace. He was an amazing man and had such an amazing mind, and the things that he did was just incredible. And I remember when I worked at AT&T, every September was such a big deal because it would be the launch of the new iPhone and Apple products. And I remember he always made it a big deal. It was a big an auditorium and a big speech and a big reveal, and everybody was so excited. I remember being up in Fort Myers at the AT&T store, one of the busiest ones in Florida. And I just remember it would be from 4 a.m. till midnight, essentially the next day. And it would be so busy. We'd do hundreds and hundreds of sales of phones. People lined up literally around the store, camping out for this phone, which now I think is just crazy. But at the time, I mean, that was the evolution of technology. And I personally think that if Steve Jobs didn't have this resilience in his setback, I don't think that maybe we would have the cool devices that we have today that we're all using and utilizing in our jobs and connecting with people. Think about FaceTime and all those cool things that we can do. I don't think it would necessarily be here without him, or maybe it'd be called something else. I mean, give or take. So I find that being a really cool story, and I think there's lessons there that we could all take upon that, if you're feeling a certain way or you're feeling down, I want you to take a second and just really think about that situation. And I'm going to ask you this: have you reached out to anybody who maybe can uplift you or give you some ideas? That's the big thing, is if you keep it all to yourself and then you keep holding on to it, you're eventually going to probably explode. Just like with anything else, if you get angry or anything else, you can't hold it in. But there's a lot of great resources out there, and there's a lot of great people out there that can probably help you overcome the resilience that you may have or the setbacks that you have to get you that one step forward, because we've all been there, all of us. And that's whether you're in real estate, marketing, mortgages, you're a tech person, IT person, a teacher, if you are a coach in sports. I mean, there's all these different things. Another thing that pops in my head is if you look at Thomas Edison. I mean, this man created electricity. I was reading about this. It took him 10,000 wins, small wins, to now have all the lights and technology that we have today. Think about that. Think about how many setbacks that this guy had, probably tons. So those are just different things I think we could all relate to. But, there's definitely things that we all need to look at, and it's really embracing failure. Nobody likes to fail, but if you could take a second, just close your eyes and think of some setback that you had. Just keep your eyes closed. Unless you're driving, don't do that. And just think about a setback that you had or one that you have right now. And I want you to start thinking, have you cultivated a support system? Do you have people in your circle that could help you? And that's whether you have a manager, a team member, a friend, a family member. I want you to think about that. Have you reached out to anybody? Are you seeking, different ways to overcome whatever that might be? And really what you have to do is start thinking about small wins. Like, all right, so if you have a little setback, and, for me, I could tell you right now, like our setback and I would say biggest resilience is trying to get clients, future families basically, pre-approved in this market. And obviously the United States keeps spending money that we don't have. Inflation is at an all-time high. It's not good. But the biggest thing is working with home sellers and realtors is really just educating them that, hey, we could still help people get into a home, but we're going to need some leverage and we're going to need some money as far as temporary rate buy downs go and discount points go. As opposed to just saying, yeah, you don't qualify. Like, there's ways to make this work, but it's about working together with people that are in your realm of what you do to make it happen together. But it's really about embracing failures as a learning experience, cultivating a support system. I think that's very, very important, that you got to have a support system, and you got to practice self-awareness and mindfulness. And that all comes together in cultivating resilience and being able to overcome that. So I'm going to challenge everybody here that, reflect on a recent challenge, and I want to know, how did you overcome it? Because I think everybody has cool tips and tricks. I want to learn your tips and tricks because I'm all about learning and teaching back. That I want to know what you're doing, and maybe there's something that I'm not doing that I can learn how to do that might help. One best practice that I do is when I wake up in the morning and have my cup of coffee, before I even do that, I go outside, and I want everybody to start thinking about this. Breathing techniques are a huge thing, and I think it's almost a mindset that you need to have, is how to breathe properly in the morning. And you should practice doing this because it will clear your mind and make you start thinking about different things, almost like a meditation. And what I do is I just take slow, deep breaths, and every single day I do it for about 2 to 4 minutes. If it's raining outside, I don't care. We don't have snow here in Florida, but you need to do it, and do it outside. And as they say, touch your feet with nature, be part of the ground yourself. I know my wife does it all the time, and I've heard a lot of people do that, and I think it's really important to ground yourself with where you're at. But I think it definitely helps because it will clear your mind. And then I start thinking about my day, and then like I said before, I don't listen to music in the car. I just kind of pray and think about what opportunities I have today to tackle, and which ones yesterday I were not able to tackle, and how I'm going to get them today. But that's the biggest thing, is that if you're out there and you're listening to this and you've had resilience, my message to you today is don't give up. Create a circle. Let me help you if I can. I'm only a phone call away, a text message away, or a email away, and I want to be able to help you if I can. And I think that resilience is a powerful thing that's going to help you in your career and get to that next level. So hopefully you guys got some nuggets out of this. I really think that the message here is that resilience is a good thing as long as you don't have a fixed mindset. Your mindset is a growth mindset, and you're creating and innovating great ideas to make it great, make whatever it is great. And you're definitely going to come out a winner. And it might take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. It might take hours, weeks, days, whatever, months. But just know that you can do it, and I have confidence in you. So we're going to end this now. Kept under 15 minutes, but at the end of the day, I want to make sure that everybody gets the message that we're all in this together. Friends, family, coworkers, whoever it might be, everybody wants to have a piece of the pie of success, and we're all going to fall back doing it, and that's okay. That's okay. So part 3, embracing change, navigating life's inevitable transitions. So the next episode of Beyond the Blueprint, we're going to delve into the one constant in our lives, change, and everything changes. We have changes every single second of our life. So I think this is going to be a really cool topic. And we're going to talk about the shift in careers, evolving relationships, personal growth, shapes of our journey. And basically I want to unpack the art of embracing change, right? Change is a good thing, and understanding that we have to get out of our comfortable zone, and we have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So that's going to be the next episode. We'll do that next week. But again, make sure you share this with your friends. If you know somebody out there that might be struggling with something, maybe this will give them a little upbeat to get to that level. But make sure you share, like, subscribe. It does mean a lot to me. If you can, on our podcast, if you can, just leave us an honest review. That helps grow us. Leave a comment. And then on YouTube, if you can, I'm surprised out of the 5,000 people that follow me on Facebook, I only have 18 subscribers. So if you can and you haven't, make sure you like, subscribe. You'll get all the updates. Same thing on the podcast. Again, this is Matt Socci, and this is Beyond.